So just a reminder on the DMs that were Ian Garry sending these messages to Sean Strickland. Does this sound like the other one? And if you choose to continue to spread it, knowing from the source it's not true, then you are partaking in harassment and defamation of character. Smart move would be to take it down. Now compare that to this. You were obsessively calling her a pedophile. That's not how you spell that word. And then over here you say, it's my turn to return the favor. That's not how you spell that word. Normally I just let these videos roll and there's different segments and it is what it is, but I just really want to stress that there are 3 very distinct segments of this video. 1, where we go through Sean Strickland breaking down on the Theo Vonn podcast and discuss that. 2, where Ian Garry talks trash about that happening in a very nasty manner. And I uncover the fact that Ian Garry really did write that message because he misspells a bunch of things. Then I compare that to the Leilani Lee one where she DM'd Sean Strickland. And then we go to some hilarious other things that Sean Strickland said in the Theo Vonn conversation, which are so ridiculously contradictory to things that he has done in his own behavior that we have to go through that also. So buckle in. I will timestamp all 3 segments if I remember, but just trust me, you're going to want to watch the whole thing. It's solid, dude. There's a lot of really touching moments and a lot of hilarious stuff. I love you guys. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because if you don't, then I might cry. And I realize that that sounds awesome to a lot of people who would love to see me cry like a little baby on my channel, but I would prefer not to do that. All right, so let's start right here with the clip of Sean Strickland breaking down. This is pretty heavy. But like I said, moving, and I think this is going to be great for his career, as I predicted in the video that I initially did about this when we found out this was coming. Let's watch it.
I remember I was like in second grade, and I kept falling asleep at my desk, and my teacher took my desk away from me, and she made me like stand up. And so I'm like, F you, being a little kid, I just went and fell asleep on the ground. And mind you, like, the school system's like, oh, Sean, like, he's just a bad kid. They don't realize I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning, like, you know, late. I mean, dude, I remember.
It's hard to stay up late and learn.
Dude, I remember like laying in bed. Like, I remember I stopped believing in God, man. Like, like I had fucking, yeah, it's crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit, man.
Yeah. It's okay, man. It's a lot of that sad, dude. I used to be scared at night. Like, I used to stand up. Like, I heard when I was a kid that, like, if you peed around your, like, animals could pee somewhere that other animals wouldn't come. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Huh?
Yeah, man.
Have you ever heard that? Yeah, I'm sorry, bud.
So, man.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's all good, dude.
We don't have to talk, man. I can just sit here with you for a minute.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. 6 seconds.
I can just sit here. We can just sit
Nah,
here.
it's all good, dude. 6 seconds. I just process it. I think it's one of the hard things that people don't understand, like trauma, you know?
Dude, first of all, Theo Vonn is such a good dude, man. Because Theo would have for sure liked this video if he just got done watching that. Have you? I think he handled that really, really well. You know, where he's like, you could tell, like, initially he probably got caught totally off guard. You know what I mean? Because I don't think that many people expect Sean Strickland to break down on their podcast. Like, if you've watched him on most of his podcast appearances, that's not how it goes, man. You know, he like, if you watch him on Rogan, he was like the opposite end of the universe from, you know, crying about his childhood. He's telling stories about almost shooting a guy in the head. Like, he was telling a story about, like, jumping off a building and surviving. Weird example. Yeah, not like that at all. But you understand what I'm saying. Like, there was nothing like that at all in the Rogan podcast. And so, you know, I'm sure Theo had watched it and he's just like, whoa. I thought he handled it really well. You know, initially he's like, I'm really sorry. And then he just figured out the correct play is just, you know, let him work it out, dude. So yeah, I thought I'd give Theo Vonn props on that for sure. Because like, I mean, aside from just not wanting to cry in front of people, it's also like, dude, you're here to do a podcast. You're here to do a podcast, and you need to be able to speak to do a podcast. Or in my case, you need to be able to speak because you're supposed to be doing an interview that's going to be used in a documentary series. Crying, you're not very good at communicating. So I don't know, man. I've been there. It's not easy. But like I said, I think for Strickland, I think this is going to play really well. Because me listening to that, I'm like, damn, dude. There's a lot underneath the surface with this guy. And, you know, there is for everybody, but there's something very endearing about vulnerability when it comes to people like all of us. Because it's like you just don't expect people to unzip like that. Now, switching gears, though, here's what Ian Garry had to say about the Sean Strickland appearance. So Ian Garry said, Sean Strickland, how the tables have turned. You dish it out in the lowest, most vile manner, but you can't take a pinch. You attack my wife incessantly and obsessively, calling her a... That is not how you spell that word. A pedo. A pedo. That's really for sure definitely not how you spell that word. Which tells us what? It tells us Ian Garry actually wrote this one. You know, like the DMs that went to Sean Strickland that were like, Sean, I am trying to help you. You are in serious legal jeopardy with this reckless abandon that you are exhibiting when you're Instagramming, talking about my wife. That is definitely not me writing this. It's me, Ian, talking about my wife. It's not me. It's not me that's actually his wife just pretending to be Ian. It's not that. And then this one, where it's like, oh, he's trying the Queen's English, but couldn't even spell the word. So yeah, that's Ian writing this one for sure. It's clear to see your childhood trauma showing. You claimed you were giving me advice before. Well, now it's my turn to return the favor. FAVOUR. You should shut your mouth, zippy face, and focus on the mirror because you have enough serious issues you need to solve. I wish you all the best with them. Don't ever project your project. Don't ever project your, I think, is that, whatever. Project your pain onto me and family again. Happy New Year. Ooh, ouchie, wah, wah. So just a reminder on the DMs that were Ian Garry sending these messages to Sean Strickland. Does this sound like the other one? And if you choose to continue to spread it, knowing from the source it's not true, then you are partaking in harassment and defamation of character. Smart move would be to take it down. Now compare that to this. You were obsessively calling her a pedophile. That's not how you spell that word. And then over here you say, it's my turn to return the favor. That's not how you spell that word. Basically, if you read this, there is a 0% chance that Layla Anna Lee wrote this one and a 100% chance that she wrote this one. So what have we learned? We've learned that Ian Garry should be writing his own messages because spelling is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is, are you marketable? And this is much more marketable than pretending that you have a law degree and threatening defamation when it doesn't apply in a very kind, you know, the Queen's English manner. You want to be a dick that only knows how to fight, doesn't know how to spell, doesn't understand punctuation, but you know how to kick and punch people's faces off. That's your brand. You don't need to be smart. Come on, dude. This is what I'm talking about here. Now, going back to Sean, I think there's a conversation that we absolutely have to have because I'm giving him immense kudos on his behavior in this clip right here, being very vulnerable. Great job. But now I'm going to show you another quote from the interview that I think deserves at least a little bit of dissection because I think when I show it to you, you're going to go, no way. There's no way that Sean Strickland said that in the Theo Vonn interview because that's impossible, you know? Like it would be impossible that Sean Strickland actually said this. So I'm going to read it to you and then we'll discuss. So, quote from Sean Strickland. There are some things that are off limits. You don't really talk about a man's wife. You don't talk about a man's kids, and you don't talk about a kid being abused. These things are off limits. Once he crossed that, I tried to fucking ignore it. I was boiling. Whenever Drickus goes on there and he jokes about all that shit, dude, you have no idea. I'll fucking kill you. You have no idea. I think the issue is, too, when you're a kid and you've been made a victim your whole life, as an adult, you're like, never again. I'll kill you. I agree with all of that, you know, for the most part. You know, but listen. I feel like I should also, just for context, play this clip from, you know, a couple weeks before that.
Yes, I never talk about anybody's spouses, but this shit ain't right. It ain't fucking right. I gotta talk about it. Ian Garry, I remember when I met you, dude. It was in New York. You were this fine-ass girl. She had the little nipple coverings. We all fucking seen it, right? Everybody fucking seen it. But I remember thinking to myself, there ain't something right about that girl. There's something about that woman that ain't fucking right. The way she walked, the way she looked, the way she talked, I knew it. Now I'm finding out you're 26, she's fucking 40, the ex-fucking husband lives with you, you took the last name, motherfucker, she wrote a book on how to be a wag. I didn't know what a wag was until now, dude. This shit ain't right, dude. She's a succubus.
Let's go back to this one. You don't really talk about a man's wife. I mean, what kind of whatever I am would I be if I didn't at least, you know, like, you know. Hey, listen, I love when Sean Strickland talks about her. I think it's hilarious because I like talking about her, you know, but she deserves it. You know, she kind of deserves it. I mean, you know, you tease her a little bit. Who cares if you call her a succubus? Who cares if I say she's sexy, but also clearly is writing DMs for Ian Garry, and their whole relationship kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it's kind of weird that he took her last name, and it's really fucking weird that she moved the nutritionist into the house. Who cares? I'm also saying that Ian Garry is going to be a world champion, and you heard me say I think she's sexy. So, like, that kind of just washes all of the negative things I said away, and they're not even negative. They're just weird and fun to make fun of. So, yeah, but I don't know, you know, within a couple weeks, like, don't talk about a man's wife, and then, you know what I mean? For the record, I love Sean Strickland. But then I also wanted to show you this, because apparently Sean tried to bite off Drickus's ear in that fight. Tried to bite off his ear. Let's just call it what it is, dude. He saw that in the Tyson fight, and he was growing up. I mean, I guess he'd be pretty young when that happened, but nonetheless, if you've ever seen the video of Tyson biting Holyfield's ear, you've thought to yourself, if I ever get in a jam, maybe I'll bite off someone's ear. But I just thought that was notable because Strickland straight up said he tried to bite off his ear, and that would have been a serious escalation, I would say, if you dismember a person, whether it's their ear or anything else. Although some of these fighters, you're probably doing them a favor if you bit off their ear, because it looks like that's what needs to happen for them to be a little bit less creature of the Black Lagoon. What? It's a terrible joke, dude. I was just like, as I was saying, bite off the ear, I remember cauliflower ear. I was trying to do a thing. Yeah, you didn't do it very well, dude. That's stupid. Fair enough. Now, Jesse, what am I looking at right now? You are looking at an amazing story about Gordon Ryan's professor / legend, John Danaher. I don't know. I never know if like people know jiu-jitsu people. John Danaher is also George St. Pierre's coach, jiu-jitsu coach. He's actually just a martial arts coach. People don't even know that. They think he just does jiu-jitsu, but he has New Wave School. Some of the greatest jiu-jitsu competitors in the history of the world are underneath him, including Gordon Ryan. And this is a story about him that I absolutely have to show you guys because it is amazing. And just in case you don't know who this man is, I have to show you a photograph of him so that it makes it way funnier. Okay. Like this is John Danaher, right? This is not like, you know, he's not a big guy. He's an older guy. He's one of these early Renzo Gracie black belts that has developed into one of the single greatest martial arts coaches in the world ever. And as it sounds, potentially one of the, most dangerous competitors also. Look at this. So this is another story that apparently Gunnar Nelson was telling about him, but we're just going to skip this one for now, and we're going to listen to the story that Gunnar Nelson told about John Danaher because it is absolutely amazing. Listen to this.
Break some arms and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember one time where he snapped this guy's arm. So this guy grabs John's head, and he's like, John is playing guard, and the guy grabs like a front headlock and just starts sprawling on him. Eventually, John gets his head out, gets into guard, pulls the pit stop, and just back. So he breaks the arm and then he does a back roll. Does not even look at the guy, turns around and walks into his office. We were just like, oh my God. And then the people from the office come in and like, come on, so, oh, I broke my arm. And then I walk into the office and there's a little crack and I'm like, he's sitting there and he's, probably watching hyenas tear up some antelope or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I kind of open up and I do like a little knock, and John is like cool as a cucumber, kind of just looks up and says, "What's up, buddy?" I'm like, "Hey, you all good?" I saw him break some arm.
Okay, so let me tell you why that is such an incredible story. All right, so in case you guys did not understand what he was saying, John Danaher was rolling. John Danaher, as I understand it, per the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of interviews that I've watched of his, has some limitations with his body, right? Like, like his hips or something like that. I apologize if I'm getting that wrong, but he's not like a young guy that can just like move. He's not using any athleticism at all when he is practicing jiu-jitsu. So apparently some guy was there and was rolling with John, and he had grabbed a front headlock, which if you do not know, jiu-jitsu is an incredibly uncomfortable position to be in. And the guy was squeezing hard and was sprawling out, and so making it super heavy on the back of John's neck, and just uncomfortable to be in. It is a terrible position to be in. I hate it. It is my least favorite position to be in jiu-jitsu. So he's squeezing, and then John eventually gets his head out, gets into a guard position, and then he just breaks the guy's arm. Doesn't even look at the guy, doesn't shake his hand, nothing, just rolls off the mat and goes into his office like, all right, round's over, I broke your arm. So when I sent this to a couple people, all of them were like, damn, that's harsh. And I'm like, you think so, huh? It's like, dude, that's super harsh. I'll tell you, this is my hypothesis on what happened there, right? First of all, let me actually just say this. I don't know if this is normal or not normal or whatever, right? But I don't smash black belts. I just don't do it. Like, not because I'm like, oh, I'm taking it easy on these guys, but like, I don't squeeze hard on things that I get on them or whatever. It's like, you got a couple different things. It's just a respect thing where it's like, I'm trying to learn from this dude. I am not trying to beat this dude, right? Like, I'm not doing what I'm doing to win. I have nothing to learn from potentially getting super lucky and just being stronger or bigger and trapping a limb or something and then, making them tap. Like, I learn nothing from that. I'm not there to win a match. I don't want them to feel embarrassed. I don't want them to so I just don't do it. And I sure as hell would never throw a front headlock on, whatever, a guy who's like, I don't even know how old he is, but he's much older, and then throw all my body weight onto his neck. And aside from the fact, beyond that it's disrespectful, also, you understand that, like, they could just break your arm, strangle you to death at any time, So, like, it's like self-preservation, but mostly it's a respect thing. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I bet you what was happening was that guy who was doing that probably was thinking to himself, I'm going to tap out John Danaher, because then I'll get to tell people I tapped out John Danaher, right? Oh, John Danaher, yeah, he's good. I tapped him, I tapped him. Danaher is such an intuitive person that he, A, I'm sure felt like it was disrespectful what the guy did. B, probably figured out that the guy was trying to get, tap him so he can tell a story. I tapped out John Danaher. And Danaher's like, oh, you want a fucking story? You want a story from the mat? Okay, I'll give you a John Danaher story. I'll break your fucking arm, and then I will roll off the mat as if I just ate a club sandwich, and I'm just going to go back to work, and I'm not going to talk to anyone about it, because John Danaher knows that's you want to have a story that kind of, I think that he is one of the most self-aware people in the world, like in the history of the world. I think he's so overly self-aware that he has been able to perpetuate an image of himself that is not that it's not who he is, but it is tailored. That's the kind of thing. Break the guy's arm, you roll off the mat calmly, you go into your office, you don't say anything about it. No one understands people better than that guy, especially in an environment like that. So he knows, breaks the guy's arm, goes into his office, says nothing about it. People are going to tell that story, man. People are going to tell that story. So another thing, to all you really young guys, you know, in that, so first of all, it's awesome, right? I mean, it's not awesome to like break a student's arm, but if a person was trying to, you know, strangle you and crush your neck and you're 60 years old, I apologize if he's much younger than that. I'm just making a point. You know, do it at your own risk. He can break your arm, dude. Matter of fact, let me see how old he is to see if I owe anyone a like massive apology, because I don't think he's actually 60. He's 56. Okay, yeah. So I don't owe him that big of an apology, but nonetheless. So yeah. So for you young guys who are still kind of, you know, really looking to build the legend of your toughness or whatever, if you tell a story about yourself, that does the opposite of what you think it does, all right? Like, that does the exact opposite. If you tell a story about you breaking someone's arm, people are like, oh, God, okay, so this is a guy who thinks he needs to, like, prove that he's tough, and it does the exact opposite of that. You should never tell a story about you winning a fight, ever. You should never tell a story about a street fight that you, I mean, unless it's like you're telling because it's, like, funny, you know what I mean? Like, if you think it's, like, funny or whatever, but if you're like, yeah, dude, so then I took this guy out, and then I took that guy out, it does the exact inverse of what you think it does. You want other people to go, dude, that guy starched, like, 5 people in a row. Wait, 5? 5, dude. Damn. That guy broke this dude's arm and then just, like, walked off the mat like nothing happened. Jesus. Yeah, dude, don't fuck with that dude. Yeah, so I broke his arm and then I just fucking rolled off the mat like nothing happened. Cool. Shut up. Okay? Other people need to tell stories about you. Anyway, that's what I got. I love you guys. Bye-bye.